Welcome friends. Today I'm going to show you how I can my spinach. I harvested this spinach this morning and I got it washed and I went through it, picked out any bad leaves. If you have some hard, tough stems, just simply break them off. Throw those stems in the pig bucket or the chicken bucket, the compost. But I've gone through all of our spinach, washed it twice, and it is ready to go. My jars are washed and sterilized, staying warm in the oven, ready to go. I have water in here. That is going to be just enough to cover the spinach. And put all the spinach in there. Now it looks like a lot of spinach, and it is, but once you steam it, it packs quite well into the jars. And you'll be surprised, you won't have as many jars as you think you are going to get. Now when I do my spinach, I like to take a sharp knife and just poke the spinach, piercing the leaves. It helps with the preservation of it. Now I'm just going to heat these greens until they're wilted, just enough. And then once they're wilted, about maybe 2-3 minutes in the hot water, we're going to pack them into the hot jars. We're going to leave 1-inch head space. Now I like to put salt with mine. Only because we don't eat much processed food, so it's really the only way that we get a sufficient amount of salt. So my jars are sterilized and ready to go. And I'm putting half a teaspoon of pickling salt into 1 pint. I have the pressure canner here turned on, just warming up the water slightly, because I don't want to put cold jars into hot water, or the other way around. I don't want to put the hot jars, sorry, into cold water. We want an equal temperature. So I can just rotate the spinach around. It's almost out of boil. And then I have my strainer here. I have the hot water already boiled. So what we will be doing is removing the spinach from the water, putting it into the strainer. And then we will be packing the spinach into the pint jars, leaving 1 inch headspace. 1 inch headspace, the marking is this bottom rim. Again, I'm just piercing the spinach with the sharp knife. Piercing it will hasten the wilting and prevent the overcooking of the spinach. And when the stems begin to rise around the edge, it's ready for packing. So you can almost there. Now when you do the greens, you do need the pressure canner, and we're going to use a 15-pound rocker, and it's going to be on for 70 minutes. When you're done with the pressure canner, turn it off, remove it from the heat, and let it sit until it loses all pressure naturally. And that little pressure button will fall down. Then you will remove your weight and let it sit for another 10 minutes before removing the lid. Okay, the spinach is brought up to a boil. Just lightly steam. I'm going to turn the timer on for 1 minute. Just moving it around. Canned spinach is wonderful in the middle of winter. You can add it to your soups and stews, your lasagna. You can use it for spinach dip. Okay, turn that off. So this is the same processing for any greens. For spinach, Swiss chard, kale. So I'm simply just scoop all that out. Now if you have a pasta pot, one of those pots that have an insert with the little holes, feel free to use that. I just don't have one. So I can't use it. But like our motto is, use what you have, do what you can. All my spinach. So you can see it's cooked down quite a bit. Now I'm simply going to add it into the jars. You don't want to pack it too tightly. But layering it, kind of how I took it out, that works well. A little bit more. Lightly packed. And again, you do not have to put salt, but we don't eat much processed food, so we need to add salt to ours. I think we might only get 3 jars. So for reference, I did 3-pint jars. In order to do 7-quart jars, you would need 28 pounds of spinach. That's right, 28 pounds. So since I'm going to use these, I'll move them out of the way. So you can see. Then you take your boiling water. Bring it up to the 1-inch mark. Then you need to debubble. I have a wooden chopstick that I use, and you're simply going to run it along the edge of the jar, and you will see bubbles come up. I like to give mine a poke down into the center, a little wiggle down into the center. Perfect. I'll show you again. See the bubbles coming up? So when you're canning, debubbling is important. It's important so that it helps with the air escape inside your canner, and then that way you avoid excess seepage from the jars. Now, seepage does happen. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. But you do want to make sure you wash your jars after they have cooled down before you store them. Any residue on the outside. Now, as you can see, when we debubbled, we lost some volume and water. So we're just going to top those ones off. That one's good. A little bit. Okay. And I have some vinegar here and a clean cloth, and I simply wipe the rim with some vinegar and a clean cloth. That helps to make sure you have no residue on there. You're taking your sterile, warm lids on the jar. And your rings. Finger tight. And again, I'm placing these hot jars into hot water already in my pressure canner. To follow the instructions for your pressure canner and use the proper weightage and time for your altitude in your area. I'm going to be using 15-pound weight for 70 minutes. So now that the spinach is in there, I'm going to put this on high. When my water starts to boil, I'm going to put my lid on. It will build up pressure. This button will pop up. You let it steam vent for 10 minutes, then add your weight. Set your timer for 70 minutes. Then when the timer goes off, turn the heat off, remove your pressure canner off the heat, and wait until it has depressurized, meaning this little button has fallen down. Remove your weight, wait another 10 minutes, and then remove your lid. So happy canning! Can that spinach, the Swiss chard, your kale, and enjoy greens in the middle of winter. Remember, use what you have, do what you can, and we'll see you next time.